JFK wanted to do that were very, very dangerous to the powers that be, what you would call, the deep state. Every year, or every 4 years rather, there's a new president, or at least we elect a new president, or they have a chance to, have a second term. The people that are in power at the CIA, the FBI, all these places, they're in power for a long time. That's a long time of running. Those guys. Long time of running things.
Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David from the Valuetainment YouTube channel sat down on the Joe Rogan Experience and had a very interesting conversation. The whole thing was very interesting to me. This clip is probably the most interesting part of the entire podcast, where they start to talk about three-letter agencies and people who are really running things behind the scenes. And they make a lot of jokes, because it's hard to call these people out directly and with the fear of the consequences that could come. They make a lot of innuendos, a lot of jokes and things like that. But ultimately, they have a very, very important conversation about who is really running things, these three-letter agencies, the problems that come along with the people who are really running things, and all of that. Joe Rogan has been doing a great job with the guests that he's been bringing on, and also the opinions that he's been forming that are well-informed from these guests that he's bringing on. And Patrick Bet-David has also been doing a great job too. I've been skeptical of Patrick Bet-David, but he's doing a lot of things, saying a lot of things that he's getting into my good graces with a lot of things that he's been saying and doing recently. Let's check out this clip here of Patrick Bet-David and Joe Rogan discussing who is really running things and why it's scary that the people who are running things are running things. Let's check this out.
Reagan, John F. Kennedy, and Trump. They all had money. It's not like they were struggling with women or money, right? Reagan, Mary Jane Wyman, John F. Kennedy. I think at the end of the day, he was with, 3 or 4 women in his lifetime, whatever the number is. He's been around. He's had his fun. His father set the example. He had a great time. So to him, what party has he not been invited to? Or Trump, he did what he did. Then he gets into a position of power. Then the real power people behind closed doors that let's just say you and I don't know about, the quiet power people, they come in and say, Reagan, Trump, Kennedy, I want you to change your way of thinking. Don't push.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Federal Reserve too much. Don't push, gold standard too much. Let's change. Who's more tempted to change? The power people or the money people?
I think it's, I don't think
you know what I'm asking, right?
I do. Yeah. I know what you're asking, but I don't think it's that clean. I don't think there's specific categories for human beings. I think the variables are much more extreme. I think there's the spectrum is very broad. And a guy like JFK clearly had some very strong opinions about positive changes that he could make to this country. Very dangerous opinions. He wanted to get rid of the CIA. He wanted to get rid of the NSA. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. There's a lot of things that JFK wanted to do that were very, very dangerous to the powers that be. What you would call, the deep state. Every year, or every 4 years rather, there's a new president, or at least we elect a new president, or they have a chance to, have a second term. The people that are in power at the CIA, the FBI, all these places, they're in power for a long time. That's a long time of running. Those guys. Long time of running things.
Do we know who?
And also, I just find it it's just wild that JFK wanted to shut down these three-letter agencies and everything, and then he got murked. He got taken out, and it's really not funny, but it's scary more than anything. And now things have been declassified, and a lot of new information has come out from the Kennedy family and everything, that we kind of know that three-letter agencies are the ones that took him out, and there's just nothing we can do about it. They're kind of just telling us, yeah, we did it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And they're right, there's nothing we can do about it. And now there's not a lot of presidents who are saying the same thing. They kind of did their job and scaring off anyone who wants to shut down three-letter agencies and go after the deep state and everything like that. They did a good job at shutting those down. There's people out there like Vivek Ramaswamy who is saying that they should shut down three-letter agencies and that he wants to do that as president whenever he does become president. And I fear for him. That didn't go well last time somebody tried to do that. So it's scary, not only for Vivek Ramaswamy, but for everyone, that they can just do that and basically say, yeah, we did it. Nothing you can do about it. And they're right. There is nothing we can do about it. That's a scary thought.
Those guys are? Do we kind of have an idea who those guys are?
I want to know.
Yeah, really?
It's like Voldemort. You want to say the name? Don't say Voldemort. Don't say it. I don't know, man. It's I think you need intelligence agencies. I think it's a controversial opinion too. I think you need people around the world that are monitoring terrorist cells that are paying attention to, rogue states that are paying attention to dangerous places like China. You need information. You need intelligence agencies. I'm not an anti-intelligence agency person. I think people that are naive. I think I have friends that have worked for the CIA, and I've had long conversations with them about what it's like in private. There's dark shit in the world. There's some terrible places in this world, and you got to pay attention to all that. And you have to have contingency plans, and you have to have preparation.
Yeah, I don't think. By the way, I don't think that I am anti-intelligence agency, and I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy is either. I think people that are saying to shut down the CIA, shut down, all these three-letter agencies, they're saying not to shut them down and just shut down intelligence, operations within the U.S., but they want a new system. They want to shut down the current system that we have and start something new that has term limits, that has a lot of checks and balances throughout it. It needs that. It needs that reset desperately. There needs to be something done about that, right? I think that's what people are saying. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy is saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't want intelligence operations to just shut down the U.S. That'd be dumb. That'd be really stupid. But we need an intelligence operation. We need intelligence agencies that don't cause a lot of harm to its own population, like our current ones have. That needs to be done. It needs a reset.
Yeah, it's not my world, right? That's their world. I know there's a need for those people.
I talked to the former chief disguise officer. She's the one that makes all the Jonah Mendes. And
disguise officer?
Disguise officer.
Really?
She's literally, she goes and her job is to make your face identical to you. She puts it on, comes up to you, says, oh my gosh, you look just like me.
That good?
So she did this to President Bush, the first one. And she puts on the mask, goes up to him. He cannot believe. He thinks it's a human being looking just like him. And then she takes off the mask. She's the chief disguise officer.
President Bush W?
No, the senior.
Really?
Yes.
They were that good back then?
They were that good back then, right? And there's a picture of it, actually. If you pull it up, you'll see her holding it up.
Find that.
Yeah, if you put chief disguise officer Jonah Mendes, President Bush. That right there. She's holding the mask, and she was, masks of the lady, and she's showing it. So they were able to make masks of anybody else. And one day, her and I are interviewing. I'm interviewing in D.C., and I said, what makes a good CIA agent? And I'll never forget what she said. She said the craziest thing. She says, look, I said, do you want the guy to be charming, charismatic? What do you want it to be? She says, we want him to be charming.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Charismatic, attractive, sense of humor, all of that. The only thing we don't want him to have is the following. If they end up saving the free world of another war, they don't need to brag about it to nobody else. Pretty crazy.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Just keep your mouth shut. And it's hard to find people like this. It kind of goes back to what you're saying. And then I followed up and I asked the question. I said, I don't know if I'm comfortable with a president, because typically anybody that becomes a president, what do they have in common? You have to be super competitive, right? You have to be a true believer in something, set of values, whatever those may be. And you have to be somebody that's a good salesman. I mean, if you don't know how to sell, you're not going to be a president. We've only had 46 of them. 45 of them were great salespeople, if you think about it, right? Okay. So you become a president, and then when you become a president, it's like, oh, hey, you're president. Guess what? What? Let us show you Area 51. Let us show you all this stuff. Let us show you. Oh my gosh, he goes home at night, sleeps, and says, babe, I saw an alien today, babe. Like, would you want the president to get access to every single thing that ever happened in the history of America the last however many years? I don't know about that.
It's a good question because
it is a very good question. And you would think that if somebody would become president and be the one to expose a lot of this stuff, it would have been Trump, right? And even if he didn't see anything like aliens or anything like that, Donald Trump has gone on podcasts and said, like he has seen all the the declassified stuff or the classified stuff surrounding aliens and everything like that. He's seen everything. He's the president, right? It makes you wonder if even the people who we think aren't, on the side of the deep state, aren't sold out to the establishment, maybe they are. Maybe these guys like Donald Trump, even they are selected by the deep state to be, the champion of each side. Maybe even the guys who we think are going against them, and JFK just, slipped through the cracks. I don't think that if Donald Trump was really against three-letter agencies and everything like that, he would still be alive and free. I think he would be either in jail or dead if he was really going against these people, because that's where everybody else ends up that goes against them. Not just presidential candidates, but also people who expose things, whistleblowers, things like that. They disappear all the time, constantly. Every single time somebody blows a whistle on a 3-letter agency, they're gone. They die of suicide or heart attack, whatever. That's just what happens. And Donald Trump, you know, he's supposed to be this guy that's not sold out to the establishment, and yet he does things that they make you scratch your head. It's like, why do you want Nikki Haley to be your vice president? Why does it keep talking up Nikki Haley? Why does it keep, supporting Ben Shapiro's favorite country so much? And why are you doing all these things? It makes you wonder if even the guys who you think are not sold out because they have no reason to be, maybe they are handpicked by the deep state. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David conversation. I thought this was a great clip, great conversation to have, and it's a very interesting one for sure. I want to hear your thoughts, though. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David conversation on the Joe Rogan Experience.